This stream is sponsored by IGK TAS, telemetry analysis system powered by IGK. Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to TTML. We are here for F1 action. It is Season 6, round number 10 of the Championship, as we've taken the Singapore Grand Prix from the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Not to be confused with, of course, the Yas Marina Street Circuit, as I normally call it around here. My name, though, is James Hay. Going to be taking you through the stream, as always, on a Sunday night. And joining me in the commentary box for the final time here in TTML, it is Mr. Luke Etheridge. Luke, how are you doing?
I'm very well, James. Good evening to yourself. Good evening to everyone that is watching at home. I hope you're all fed and watered because you need to get ready for the long haul. Singapore is always a long race, even before you get to the possibility of safety cars, even before you get to the possibility, as we've already seen in some of the lower divisions this week, James, of some weather playing a part in this race. Championships both decided still. Should be a fantastic race.
Should be a fantastic race indeed. I think actually the go-ahead has been given for the drivers to ready up, so we'll quickly run through the standings in terms of the drivers. Of course, drivers and constructors both wrapped up coming into tonight here at TTML F1. Jensen leading the way on 248.5 points. Rudy in second on 150.5 points. He's now secure of second. The main battle, though, is for third, and there's still a lot of drivers within the battle here. Lynx in third on 117, Fleddy fourth on 111.5, Zoidema in fifth on 107.5. You would think it's between those three, but it might not be, because Connor's in sixth on 97.5, Funky Chicken in seventh on 96, Luca in eighth on 91. I don't think he's racing tonight. Tom in ninth on 85.5, and Nuth in 10th on 83 points. So basically, third down to eighth, I think, is in with a mathematical chance of still getting P3 in the standings, which I think, coming into the final round of the season, is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think if they go for the results that happened last week, I'm just trying to work it out in my head, I think Lynx would take it by just 2 or 3 points over Zoidema, who did get another podium and has that consistency. So I reckon Zoidema could just steal this third place in the championship. He admits himself he's not been quite at the level that is needed, not being that consistent. He has had a couple of podiums. We might even get Fleddy finishing third in the championship, who's turned up to every race, scored top 10 finishes in every race but one. Could he finish third in the championship without ever actually stepping on the podium?
Well, that's the thing. Obviously, consistency is absolutely key, I think. And consistency was key, definitely in F2, because Jorg took the victory in the end. Yona, I should say, took the victory. But in terms of consistency, Jorg actually took the championship win. And it only came down to 3 or 4 points, I think, at the end, which was unbelievable. And congratulations, of course, to Yona for picking up that victory. I'm going to have a look at the task system now to see what the track is going to be like. And it looks as if, I tell you what, it looks as if we're going to get a dry start to the race, but it is going to be storm conditions by 60 minutes in. So that might be the possibility of full wet conditions towards the end of the race. And if it's anything like F2, it's a polar opposite to F2, of course, where we had full wet conditions to start off with. Lap 27-28 could be that time where drivers might go in for a set of wet compounded tyres, but it's certainly looking like it's going to be at least inters towards the end.
Yeah, I think you've got to say round about lap 18, possibly at the earliest, to lap 25. Maybe we're expecting the light rain to come, and then it could get heavier later on. I was just waiting for you to scroll your way across to the weather, because I'd had a quick look as well. But yeah, at 30 minutes, it's going to be dry. At 45 minutes, it's not going to be dry. At 60 minutes, it's definitely not going to be dry. So this just maybe plays on what strategies some of the drivers are going to go for. As we spoke before qualifying started, as you see, qualifying is now on the way. We spoke, James, and said a lot could depend in this qualifying session just on when the weather's going to come. So I think we'll see a lot of drivers now going for the medium tyres, hoping they can last until the rain comes.
Yeah, definitely so. I'm obviously seeing a lot of drivers coming out on that set of medium compounded tyres, or certainly 2 of them have selected it on my end. Certainly, Nuth is the first one out on track, of course. He's on that set of medium compounded tyres. And Nuth, of course, picked up a podium finish last week, of course. Continuing on, I think, a very good run of form that he has had the previous 2 weeks, of course, especially in France, of course, where he took the feature race, second position. Again, second in Mexico last time out. And Nuth is in there in terms of the form, obviously further down the field in terms of the standings. But I think, honestly, he's came alive at the strongest part of the season, right at the end. And he's latching himself on for a very good start, I think, to Season 7 next season.
Yeah, definitely. 50 points in the last 2 races and did well at the sprint in France as well. Seems to have just found some pace, found some form, found a bit of confidence all of a sudden. And sometimes that is the important thing. If you just believe in your mind that you can do good stuff, and he definitely has done in the last couple of races, being, you know, behind Jensen, and that's almost as good as a win in this tier this season. Jensen's only failed to win 2 races, and only one of those has he been off the podium. So Noof's done a very good job indeed, I think.
Yeah, he has done, and Nuth obviously now coming through the grandstand section of 19, 20, 21, and then in toward the double left-hander of 22 and 23. Be interesting to see how fast he can go on this sort of medium compound size. We're on board with him now as he comes through 22 and 23 on the run to the line, and now comes across the line to start us off on this lap, of course, around the Marina Bay Street Circuit, 5 kilometres and then 3.1 miles, of course, around the capital of Singapore, which is Singapore. Coming through turn 3 then with Nuth, now through turn 4, and then in front of the Singapore Eye. Not sure where they got that name from. I'm not sure where they got that design from either. Nuth coming through the right-hander of 5, now through the kink of 6, and then on the run down in towards Memorial Corner, turn 7. Of course, Memorial Corner has claimed a few victims, and it's alive in TTML, of course, when we've been round here. But Nuth through the first sector, not looking too bad at all through the first sector. 26.6. You want to be going around, I would think, a sub 26 through the first sector to try and get a very good lap time in. As now Nuth comes out of the hill, coming through turn number 9, and then down in towards the Singapore Sling, formerly, of course, a chicane, done up until 2012, got rid of in 2013, of course, and in its current variation from 2015. Nuth coming now across the Anderson Bridge section, which we saw both Mercedes and F5 go side by side through there. Oh, Nuth catches a lot of oversteer there coming through the corner, and now on the run down in towards turn 14. 103.9 through the middle sector is not too bad, but coming out of turn 15, looks like he shot his bolt in terms of his lap time at the minute. I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if he does decide to come into the pit lane. It hasn't looked the best lap, I've got to say, from Nuth. He is now coming through turn 18. Of course, Renault Gate happened on the left-hand side there. Now through 19 and through 18 and 19, I should say, and then through now the right-hander of 20 and 21. And Nuth now coming through the final 2 corners in towards 22 and 23. He is going to finish this lap. He comes through 22, flies through there, through 23, on the run to the line, 36.5 on a sort of medium compound tyres.
Yeah, not a bad lap there from Noob. Obviously, I had that major slide coming through turn number, I believe it was just as it was coming off of the Anderson Bridge, so turn number 13. Big slide. We're seeing Fleddy coming through there on the softs. Basti goes fastest of everyone on a 1:30.6. As actually was slower than Noob in the middle sector, which is a bit of a surprise. And if you want to find out how your favourite drivers are doing, you can use the Talis system. The commands are there in the chat. Thanks to IGK Talis for supporting this stream. I'm just watching Fleddy go round now. 36.9 in the middle sector. He's looking very quick at this moment in time. Fleddy could be the first driver to get himself into the 1:35 here, this Mercedes, and this very twisty final sector of the lap. Just watching out for that wall coming through turn number 21, where we've seen a lot of drivers hit in real life. Double left-hander at 22 and 23, and he's backed off towards the line. I think he knows he's got some decent pace in this race. He's going to be trying for a lap on the mediums.
Yeah, definitely so. Or we could be, of course, going towards the bubble end, which, of course, is P10, P11, and he wants to start in P11 in this race. Noah, though, to the line, 35.6. That's more like it, of course. We haven't seen Noah in recent weeks here in TTML F1, but he is back and back with a bang. The former IFR man out on top, 35.6. Basti there in second, or as I'm going to put his name at the minute, Mr. No Name, because I can't see his name actually on my screen. Basti there in second, Smalley in third. Only 3 drivers setting a sort of soft compound tyre, setting a lap on there. Black Box is just starting up on a lap, I think, as well, and the Aston Martin, of course. He actually picked up a podium on Tuesday in a league that I commentated on, and he looks to try and build on that form once again. And the Aston Martin now coming through the right-hander of 6, and then on towards Memorial Corner at turn number 7. 26.5 through the first sector is not too bad at all. It's around sort of Nuth sort of first sector through there, but no right on top. Basti second, Smalley in third, through the first third of qualifying.
Yeah, we're through the first third of qualifying. It's flown by. I saw Rudy had invalidated a lap. Harry Banks had as well on a set of soft tyres, and he was going very quick. So I wonder if a bit like Basti, as well, Black Box just gets it wrong through the old Singapore Sling chicane there now, coming through turn number 10, just invalidated that lap on the inside. I feel this will be a track where Black Box is glad he's now on the wheel, not on the pad. It's so much hard work around this circuit. 31 laps, 23 corners. Someone else can do the maths. It's a lot of work, a lot of gear changing. It's a proper endurance test, as we know. in real Formula 1, and I'm sure these drivers tonight, especially if we get a safety car, especially if they've got to be thinking about changing to the intermediate or even the full wet tyres, I'm sure it's going to be a bit of a big test for them. But Noah Jones fastest at the moment. Noah's had an up and down season, I think it's fair to say. Got a best result of second place at the Dutch Grand Prix, but he's only finished 4 out of the 8 races that he's taken part in. You've got to think, if it wasn't for that unfortunate inability to not get towards the finish line, maybe he'd still be in with a slim chance of that third in the championship, because he's clearly got the pace.
Yeah, Noah's definitely got the pace. He is one of those drivers as well that is quite consistent in terms of their lap times and in terms of their performances, of course, out on track as well. I was on board with Jensen coming through on his lap. He actually picked up this and next lap invalid coming through the final corner onto his lap. It was a 1:35.7, however, the lap before then, and it would have put him into second position, only a tenth of a second off Noah. So it wasn't bad from Jensen. As I say, he's on an invalid lap. He is catching chalkers actually on his lap, so you might just want to try and back off this. Of course, chalkers there on a set of mediums, I think might be coming into pit. Didn't know he's going to go for another lap coming through the final corner, and Jensen is going to follow cheekily, I think, behind chalkers. He does improve 37.4, improves nearly a second and a half, I think, on that lap time. But Jensen now down in towards turn 1, and then through the right hander of 2, and then towards turn 3. Chalkers gets neatly out the way coming through turn number 3, and Jensen now on a lap coming through turn 4. Of course, our champion here this season, TTML F1, has been consistent. Not too consistent though, coming through turn 5. He's just invalidated.
Yeah, I think he's just having a bit of practice at the moment. I don't think he'll be too fussed about that invalidation. Boss Wanted has gone into 5th place. Handy time on that set of the medium tyres, 1:36.662. That is the third best time we've seen on the mediums. Smalley doing well on a 36.3 on that set. And it looks like Basti might soon be heading out on the mediums. But I think a lot of these drivers just get a bit of feel for the circuit. They know if the weather's going to change with the way the strategy is around here. Qualifying not the most important, and possibly taking advantage of the fact that we have only got 15 drivers. Attendances have been generally good this season, and 15, to be honest, it's still not that shabby. They know they've got a chance possibly of getting into the top 10 on that set of mediums. So just feeling things out at the moment. I think the final 5 minutes is when everything will come alive here.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously the lap times, I think, are still to be beaten out in front. Noah on top, 35.6. Basti there second, 36 flat. There's a 4/10 gap between them both, and you're right, Luke, in saying that Basti's coming out on that set of mediums. You can see him now coming out of the pit lane just on that set of medium compounded tyres. I think he's actually joining the track behind his teammate, of course, that is Harry Banks, just coming out the pit lane ahead of him. Black Box again is on an out lap. Both Mercedes also on out laps as well. I think I saw a little bit of front wing damage coming through the first sector. I'm not sure if I saw that correctly. Certainly it looked like there was a bit of front wing damage coming through the left-hander of turn 4, just literally turn 3 on the exit. That right-hand side, not sure who picked up the damage, but if there was damage, obviously somebody's going to come into the pit lane, and I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I'm just trying to have a look at the moment, see if I can spot any car with missing front wing. It doesn't look like Fleddy's got any. It doesn't look like Lynx has, and they were a couple of the first cars through. So I think they're all clear now, or unless that is some old damage, as Fleddy taking it very steady. He's about to get onto this second lap. I've been really impressed with the 2 IFRs in the Mercedes this season. I don't think we never really spoke about them in the championship hunt, and as it turns out, unless your name was Jensen, you weren't really in the championship hunt. But they've been just showing, I think, some of the drivers that we know are a bit quicker than them, like Connor, like Tom, before he had to leave the league, that they've just got that extra bit of consistency that maybe if Connor and Tom would have had it, we wouldn't have been talking about Jensen running away with the championship. We could have been talking about a fantastic battle, and it's great to see these different drivers putting in some really good performances.
Yeah, remember as well, this is a no assist team, and everyone in this grid is a no assist driver, and it's been fantastic to watch throughout the season. Speaking of watching, I'm aboard with Newt coming through the middle sector towards the right-hander of turn 14. This has looked special this lap time. 102.9 through the middle sector. He's a second up, so in theory, he is going to go quicker. Catches the curb slightly through 14, but Newt, you would imagine, is going to be going towards the 134s, I think, with this lap time. It's looked very, very quick so far. The German now coming out of turn 18, and now underneath the grandstand at turn 19, getting very close to the curb there on the left-hand left-hand side, now through turn 20, and then through underneath the underpass of turns 21 and 22. I'm miscounting corners. That's actually 20 and 21. And then through the double left of 22 and 23. And Nuth is going to go on to pole position, comes to the line, 1:35 flat to begin off the night, and it's still a third of the way to go and qualify. Nuth now sets the benchmark for everyone to beat.
Yeah, it does set the benchmark for everyone to beat. Noah Jones is improving on his personal best, but he's still about 0.2 of a second down on what Nuth did at the moment. We're seeing Black Box go personal best as Noah just invalidates there. Freddy shoots himself up into 4th place. One man I'm interested to see is the last champion of Season 5, Harry Banks. What can he do? We've not seen him too much this season because of work and other commitments, but he has managed the best result of 2nd place at the Russian Grand Prix, which does have quite a few tight and twisty corners as well. But Harry, another driver who has just invalidated. It's unlike a lot of street circuits, this one, Singapore, because there's plenty of places you can get it wrong and just pick up penalties.
Yeah, definitely so. I was running above with Noah there as well. Noah actually picked up some wing damage coming through, I think, underneath the grandstand at 18 and 19, that section of the track. So Noah into the pit lane from wing damage on the car. He is behind Nuth by still 0.6 of a second. Harry Banks, though, as you said, he's also coming back into pit lane. He's invalidated his lap. Bunty, final race here in TTML this season. It's been fantastic, of course, to have him against the no assist drivers, the real no assist drivers, you could call it. And Bunty has done a phenomenal job, I've got to say, this season. Of course, he was a bit like a train in Mexico last time out, but a 26.7 through the first sector is not too shabby at all. He's another one that is on that set of medium compound and size, and I think majority of the guys going on that set of mediums at the moment indicates to me that rain might come a little bit sooner than we even expect through the TAS system.
Yeah, I think we've got a bit more insight into when the rain's going to come than these drivers. So I think they may be thinking it's coming around 30 minutes point rather than towards the 45 minute, because that will be a bit of a stretch for one set of medium tyres. So that they've just got to kind of hope for. And even if it does come a bit later, hey, the medium tyres are probably the best tyre to start the race on anyway, and then you just do a few laps on less than you would plan to originally, and then go on to a set of soft. Bunty, this hasn't been the cleanest lap. He has gone deep on a few occasions, came very close, I think, to hitting the wall at turn number, I believe it was turn number 8, he came close to the wall, but he's avoided it so far, and as long as he finishes his lap, we'll get himself in. Oh! Taps the inside. That's a very awkward place to have an incident there. Taps the inside of the wall, coming through turn number 18, spins him round, backs it into the wall at number 19. And I haven't seen it on this game, but I know on previous games he could actually knock the barrier out slightly on turn number 19, which did make it awkward when you were the first car around next time.
Yeah, it reminded me a bit like Michael Schumacher and Kobayashi obviously coming together. It was on the other side of the track, albeit coming through 18. But if you get caught on that curve, it will send you off, spearing into the wall on the right-hand side. And Bunty, obviously spinning around, got too greedy, I think, with the curve. It was a bit like Nuth's lap as well. I commented on Nuth getting very close to the wall on the left-hand side. And that's exactly what Bunty done. Obviously, wrongly, I think, and it's still in 11th position, still yet to set a lap time in with just under 3 minutes to go in the session. Nuth out on top, Noah Jones in second, Basti in third. Nobody really coming out of the pit lane just yet. Jensen, however, is just preparing up for a lap. He's on that sort of medium compound tyre. Now he's coming to the left-hander of turn number 3. We'll see if he is on a competitive lap. He might try and go, well, he can't go last to first. That's definite, unless everyone improves behind him. Jensen is still coming through the first sector. I think Jensen will want to try and get pole position here, or as close to pole position as possible. And a 26.3 through the first sector of a set of mediums. You must be having a laugh with that first sector.
He's only 300ths off of what we saw Nuth done earlier. Again, a bit like what we saw with Bunty. He's gone deep into turn number 8. That does compromise you slightly on that short straight between 8 and 9. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. Not sure who. Bunty's retired from the session. Not sure if that is out on track or in the pit lane. And I think Smalley has done the same in the pits as well. They're all leaving it quite late here. Jensen over the Anderson Bridge. Again, he's got Chalkers ahead of him. Chalkers racing with a different helmet tonight. He's trying out a new one for a bit of luck. It might be getting into the top 10 at the moment, even if that is slightly by default. Into the braking zone for turn number 14 there. Again, good middle sector from Jensen. 36.7. He's not far off Nuth's time at the moment on a set of medium tyres. This is an absolutely blistering lap from Jensen. Now into this twisty end of the lap. Full commitment there through turn 18. He went into that corner much faster than I thought was even possible. Through 20 and 21 then, if he decides to finish off this lap, this is going to be absolutely incredible. Through 22, and 23. This could well be pole position. It is second position, 1:35.2 on a set of mediums. That's a big warning for everyone else. They are going to have a very hard time stopping him winning this race.
Noah Jones, though, was 5/10 up, coming through the middle sector and coming through the final sector. In fact, now coming through 17 and then through the left-hander of 18 and through the right-hander of 19. He's degraded a lot of speed away through this section of the track, and he's trying to really fight the car. He might not even go close to Jensen here if he is careful enough. Now coming through 22 and 23 on board with Noah. He sent a full committed, 2 committed into the wall, and that's a huge crash coming into the line. Noah there, there's a yellow flag obviously in the final sector. Will drivers be able to set a lap time? Newthard on top though, Jensen in second. Noah in third. He crashes out of the session in dramatic fashion. Funky Chicken is not on a lap either. Zoidemer has parked it, has gone straight on through turn 14. Don't think he's going to get a lap in. Harry Banks could be the only one, bar Basti and Fleddy and the likes, who are just starting up on their laps now, to actually get a lap time in.
Yeah, he could indeed. So Noah just getting it wrong there. Zoidemer was improving. Well, he was obviously setting his best time, and Harry Banks is invalidated, so we're not going to see any time from him either. Zoidemer just sets any time. He'll beat Bunty at this moment, so he hasn't invalidated his lap. Checkered flag is out, so it is worth just finishing this lap if you're Zoidemer, and you've got to go up at least one place. So that's not a bad thing. Boss Wanted's going to be starting 10th, I believe, on a set of medium tyres, so that's no real worry for him at the moment. Zoidemer across the line into 12th place. We'll just see if anyone looks like they're improving at the moment. Black Box is struggling a bit on these set of soft tyres, and given the fact that he's going to be very likely the lowest man starting on a set of softs, he could really do with bumping himself up the order, possibly trying to get in and around his teammates.
Nuth, purple in the middle sector, he's 9 thousandths off his own time. It's very consistent so far in terms of the German. He's going to be one of the first to come across the line. I think Rudy is also coming through the middle sector across the Anderson Bridge. I'll focus on him in just a second. Jensen coming into the pit lane, but Nuth now coming through 18 and 19, and then through the right-hander of 20, and then through the left-hander underneath the underpass of 21. And Nuth has really committed on this lap. The German hits the wall slightly on the right-hand side as now he flies it into 22. Through the left-hander of 23, way too committed. It's still pole position. I think he tried to back out that lap still, but it's only a 200 improvement. I think we can let him off possibly with that one. Basti is 7/10 up though, coming through the final couple of corners. He is committed now. The Spaniard, can he steal pole position? No, he invalidates through 22, and he would have got second with that lap time as well. Fleddy into the pit lane. Rudy, I think, is the only one that can try and master Nuth through the final corner. Rudy to the line. Doesn't get it, and he goes 11th in the end, and that is the end of qualifying. What a qualifying session that was. It is Nuth out on top. That 36 flat was enough for him to get that pole position, or was a 35 flat, I think, but we'll confirm it for you in just a second. Nuth out on top, a 35 flat from Jensen on a set of medium compounded tyres in second. That is an unbelievable lap. Noah there in third, Black Box in fourth. Not often you see the top 4 covered by 7/10 and the top 5 covered by a second. Basti there in 5th, Fleddy in 6th, Lynx in 7th, Smalley in 8th, Funky Chicken in 9th, Boss Wanta ran off the top 10, Rudy, 2nd position of course in the standings, already wrapped up from down 11th, Chalkers there in 12th, Zoidemer 13th, Bunty 14th, and Harry Banks, both of them, Bunty and Harry Banks, didn't get lap time set in. Majority drivers though in that top 10, Luke's on that set of medium compound tyre. It's around a 60-40 split, I think.
Yeah, it's everyone in the top 5 apart from Jensen is starting on a set of those soft tyres. Everyone else in the top 10's on mediums. I think it was very tactical what we saw there from Rudy, just slowing down in the final sector perhaps to make sure that he didn't set a time on that soft that would have got him into the top 10. Starting in 11th, he'll be feeling pretty good. A lot of this race is going to depend on when the rain comes. If it comes early enough, you might see some drivers even think about going soft at the first few stages. If it's a bit later, those on the mediums might be starting to struggle to stretch them out long enough. I commentated a race on another league, and one of the drivers around France, a similar track to this where tyre wear can really struggle. He tried going really far into the race on a set of soft tyres until the rain came, ended up getting a puncture, had to come into the pits for the intermediates, and the track just wasn't ready, and he went from a possible podium to just finishing inside the points. It's going to be one of them again. It's how heavy. When's it going to rain? Between 30 and 45 minutes. There's a big window there. How heavy is it going to rain? Because we know it's going to get heavier later on. And how quickly will that turn the track wet? It's a long track here time-wise. Getting it wrong, staying out that extra lap, could be the difference between taking the victory and not even being on the podium.
Yeah, definitely so. I thought we were going to load into the race there, to be honest. But we've just seen the grid order there for quite a long time. The 30-second countdown now has started. Drivers are in the Discord certainly saying about the lap time as well. Chalk is saying he's glad people are behind actually set lap times, which is good for him. Obviously, he can try and fight with those guys further down the field in terms of points. Remind you, though, of the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Of course, 5 kilometres and then 3.1 mile, 23 turns awaiting the guys out on track. 3 DRS zones, 1 down the start-finish straight, 1 down in towards turn number 7 and 1, of course, down in towards turn number 14 as well. As Luke, of course, it is absolutely dry, bone dry in terms of the action. 5% chance of rain to begin off with. Chances do increase within the first 10 minutes to around 15%, so there might be just a threat of rain, but it's really 30 to 45 minutes where I think all of the overtaking is going to probably happen before then, and then we get that rain, and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen, and I think that is shown by the tyre strategies that the different drivers have gone for. Outside of the top 10, Rudy, Chalkers and Bunty, it's very rare you see this, the majority of those outside the top 10 have gone for a set of the hard tyres. That says to me they're thinking the mediums aren't going to be able to go long enough to last until the rain's going to come, and they don't want to come into the pits at all. So they've gone for the hards. Zoidema and Harry Banks have gone for the medium, so expect them to try to work their way up in the early stages. It's going to be very interesting. This difference in tyres, this difference in pace is going to have a big say in the first 2 laps, especially after that once the DRS is activated, because if you're someone like Fleddy and Lynx and you can hang on to that front group until you get the DRS, then you'll have so much better pace by lap 3 or lap 4 than those on the soft tyres. You might still be in a chance. You'll be brave to bet against Jensen, though. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I was just going to come on to Jensen. I'm already going to make a wild prediction, like I did, of course, for F2, and you'll catch me in terms of that one, how I got that right. Predict the pit stop strategy just before then. The lap 6 to 8, lap 19 to 23. Similar strategy, of course, softs to hards, and then onto a set of mediums. Nuth has gone very wide, by the way, coming through 17 and 18, maybe just to try and rub off a little bit of dust on the curbs. But Nuth out on top, Jensen in second. I honestly predict Nuth to get away by around 2 seconds and Jensen to reel him back in before lap 6 comes around. And I think Jensen, on that sort of medium compound tyre, he is literally probably the best driver in the field here in terms of pace and in terms of overall consistency. I think this race is made for him. I think that strategy is made for him as well. And if the rain comes a little bit later than everyone's expecting, I think we could get a full dry race, but who knows? Jensen there in second, though. Probably my bet to win this.
Yeah, I think that's I went for the bet last week when he started in last. I think it's a bit safer starting in second, but if he pushes those mediums too long, gets himself a puncture before the rain comes, who knows what could happen? He might still have problems. Harry Banks coming in then. What can the former champion do from 15th place? He'll be looking to maybe regain his championship next season. Every car coming into the position, these soft runners have got to escape early.
The soft runners do have to escape early indeed, and we wait for the 5 red lights to go out here for the final time in TTML this season. It is lights out, and away we go, and Nuth gets a very good start. Jensen as well bogs down off the start, and look at the start of Basti. He's going to try and go 3 wide in towards turn number 1. Noah fields through both of them, and Noah now side by side with his teammate. Blackbox there in third, Noah in fourth. They fight side by side, coming through onto turn number 4, but Nuth leads the way. Jensen on the outside line in second. Thought there was a little bit of front wing damage coming off there, the McLaren, but everyone's clean through safely now on the run down towards Memorial Corner for the first time, and Jensen is tucked within the slipstream of Nuth, not going to get the move done. Further down the field, though, it looks like Lynx is going to fight side by side with his teammate. He defends the inside line, does Fleddy, and Lynx there in 7th. Smalley there in 8th. Zoidema is through on Funky Chicken as well. Harry Banks making good progress as well. He dives it down the inside line of turn 8, gets the job done. Chalkers is there on the inside line. He doesn't care. He's got the move done. Harry Banks is through and he's into 12th. Nuthall leading the way. Jensen in second. Noah in third. Everyone with a very clean start.
Yeah, very clean start indeed. Just see if we can get the position changes up. None in the top 8, only further down once we saw the differences of tyres take advantage. That's why Zoidema and Harry Banks have gone up 3 positions, just working their way past the hard runners. There's now Rudy battling with Chalkers side by side, coming out of turn number 13 down the straight. Bunty's going to be behind them, watching all of this take place. Chalkers not able to go brave enough on the brakes. He's kept a wheel in there, and that's forced Rudy wide ever so slightly, but Rudy does take that position, stays in 13th. Noof got a slightly better getaway, but then looked as though he got a bit of wheel spin, and that allowed Jensen to stay close. As this lap's gone on, though, the pace of the soft tyres is telling, but Jensen's still within a second for now, and he's actually already a second ahead of Noah Jones and Blackbox, and it is Basti starting to put that Aston Martin driver under a lot of pressure. Blackbox was as you can see in the comments, a bit surprised to be starting 4th on the wheel. He stayed 4th for now, but he's about to come under some serious pressure, I feel.
Bunty gets the move done on Chalkers, ran wide, coming through turn 22, so Chalkers left through into 15th position. Bunty now through, he's into 14th. But Jensen, as I said, keeping up with the pace. The mediums normally come online from around lap 3, lap 4 onwards, and we've seen Jensen just sitting behind Nuth at this stage, and he's probably not even breaking sweat, certainly not breaking the ERS either. 68% in terms of his, and Nuth around the same level, so both of them at very nice levels in terms of that ERS. On settling down on, Nuth leads the way. He initially got, as you said, a poor start. Jensen as well, bogged down off the start slightly. I thought he was going to be overtaken by Noah at one stage, but Jensen holding there in second. They're pulling away from third, and this is exactly a carbon copy from Mexico last week, where if drivers get away out in front, they're going to be probably quicker than the rest of the field, hand over fist.
Yeah, I think with these 3 DRS zones, as you said earlier, around this circuit, not quite as powerful as Mexico. Jensen just coming down one of them now into turn number 14, but still can be quite helpful. And Jensen, he might be in a position, maybe even next lap, to take the lead in this race. And if he does, if you're everyone else, you've got to be hoping that he just gets it wrong on the strategy. Otherwise, it is going to be win number 8 in a 10-race season. Absolutely incredible dominance by Jensen this season. Further back, his teammates struggling a bit on the hard tyres for now, just can't quite stay in range of Harry Banks up ahead. Even given with when the rain is going to come, I am still slightly surprised that these drivers did go for the hard tyres and didn't think about going for the mediums. And then if you do have to pit, it's quite a long pit lane here. But if you go for the soft tyres, you'll be so much faster than the hards that in about 5 or 6 laps, you'll probably be able to make up a pit stop. Lap number 3, DRS is active for the first time down Raffles Boulevard here. And Jensen within 0.6 of a second. Don't think he's close enough this time around, but as the race goes on, maybe even next lap, expect him to be a lot closer to the back of that Williams.
I think Jensen will just sit and waiting behind. If there's also going to be action further up the field, you never know. The chance of a safety car around this track, by the way, is very, very high. We normally see it in the 70% region, I think, in terms of safety cars deployed in real life. And Jensen, just in behind on Nuth, he is now beginning to just apply a little bit of pressure. But I think for him, just sitting behind, wait maybe for no one black box to latch onto the back of you, and then begin to push. Obviously, the German in front as he gets very close to the wall there, coming through across the Anderson Bridge now. But Nuth still out in front, Jensen there in second, Noah in third, Blackhawks there in fourth, Basti in fifth. Everyone not really going for moves, and they're not close enough, to be honest, to go for moves either. Zoinema, by the way, in 10th position on that set of hard compounded tyres. Of course, he has gained positions off the start. He's gained 3, in fact, along with Harry Banks, of course, so the Alpine and the Red Bull gaining positions. But Zoinema keeping up well with the train in front. And when you get, of course, in a DRS trend, you're going to be pretty much being dragged along by the cars ahead. There's a yellow flag in sector 2 and 3. That's Chalkers, I think, into the wall at turn 14. He's recovered the car. Basti, by the way, was all over the back of Blackbox, I think, coming through in towards turn 18 as well.
Yeah, I think Basti might have got a run on the exit of turn number 14 on Blackbox, who's decided enough is enough already on these soft tyres at the end of lap 3. Keeps it very clean on the way to the pit entry, 60 kilometres per hour. One of the slowest and tightest pit entries of all. Imagine what that's going to be like later when it's getting greasy with the rain and you're on an old set of tyres. But he comes into the pits and it is hard. Going on the Aston Martin, that is a surprise given what we're expecting with the weather. Going on a set of hard tyres, he will come out in last place. Jensen on the back of Nuth then this time around. There's not a lot the Williams is going to be able to do. Straight down the inside into turn number 6. Goes the McLaren driver, goes a bit deep there, and that might just give Nuth a chance to fight back. But no, Jensen now takes the lead of this race, and if they work well together, you might see them just escape up the field.
Yeah, more action further down the field as well. Floody trying to get the switchback coming through turn number 8 on the back of Basti as well. Basti, though, making that Red Bull look very, very wide indeed. The wide boy there with the Red Bull in P4, Fleddy in P5, Links there in P6, and yes, I just should say, wide boy on a stream. Jensen leading the way, Nuth in second, Noah in third, and then Basti, of course, in fourth. But those set of soft compounded tyres, I can certainly see beginning to wear on that rear left compounded tyre, and that's the one that normally takes the most hits around here. Harry Banks, in the meantime, as well, on the back of Funky Chicken. He looks for the move down the inside line towards turn number 14. Doesn't get the move done. Funky runs out wide. And now Harry is right within the slipstream. Obviously, no overtaking going to be had, I think, through this final sector. But Jensen now beginning to pull away. Nuth there in second, but Nuth is actually keeping up very well, I've got to say, to the back of Jensen. I think he'll probably come in the pit lane this lap around. Obviously, no excuse for Black Box to come on that sort of hard compound tires. He's down there right at the back of the field. But I think that's an inspired call because the undercut around here is so potent. Yes, he's going to lose time on that sort of hard, but compared to guys who are obviously on 20% worn tyres early on in this race, I think that's an inspired decision from Black Box.
Yeah, we'll see where it puts him out. I would expect him to definitely jump his teammate and get into a provisional podium slot. Move, I think, stayed out for that one extra lap, maybe just because he had the DRS on the back of Jensen for that pit straight. He's lost it now. He's lost 3/10 of a second in the first sector. Jensen's just waving bye-bye to everyone, which has been a pretty common theme here. And here comes Fleddy ahead as we get round turn number 6 on Raffles Boulevard. Straight down the inside, well ahead before the braking zone. Can take the racing line. And there we go. That is Fleddy now up into 4th place. He'll be hoping that Noah and Noob come into the pits pretty soon to not hold him up. And 4th place, second highest car on the medium runners. This could be the time we see Fleddy get his first podium of the season.
Yeah, definitely so. Keeping up very well, I've got to say. Fleddy in 4th position. Harry Banks there, by the way, as well, getting the move done on Funky Chicken. He runs out wide, coming through the Singapore Sling Blast to maximise the run now in towards the Anderson Bridge section of 12 and then into the hairpin, of course, of 13. Jensen, though, leading the way. Nothing second. That gap is surely not 2.4 seconds. Nothing's had a mistake, I think, out on track quite clearly. He is struggling now on that set of soft compound tyre. Jensen really beginning to absolutely flag, I think, in front. He's beginning to pull away from the rest of the field very, very easily indeed. 2.6 seconds. It could be 3 seconds by the end of this lap. Nuff, I think, should have came and maximised his chances of coming out in front of Black Box the last lap around, but Nuff there in second. It is getting quite cloudy, I've got to say. Obviously, you can't really tell because it's dark, but it looks like to me it is getting quite cloudy. It did say overcast within 5 or 10 minutes. So, nearly 10 minutes into the race, and Nuff 2.9 seconds behind Jensen, and Jensen sets a new fastest lap. The race is linked now all of the back of Basti. He's not going to go around the outside and towards turn number 1. Basti actually brakes later than him, makes a slight mistake, and now Will Links trying to capitalise. The Links, the Mercedes, I should say, have linked in there in P6. I think this should be quite an easy move because Basti is not going to be winning the DRS, so Fleddy ahead. And this should be quite easy, I think, for Links. The other Mercedes, of course, Fleddy got past last time around. Now down Raffles Boulevard, in towards turn number 7, and it's easy from Links around the outside, in towards turn number 7 at Memorial Corner, gets the job done, and he's through. As I see Harry Banks just launch towards Zoidema, getting the job done, he's into P9. That was a beautiful move.
One Red Bull falling down the order, the other one starting to show the skills that he's got. Harry Banks started in last, gained 6 positions already. He is up into 9th place, and you'd imagine soon Basti will be diving out of the way into the pits. I'm surprised we haven't seen drivers coming to the pits off the set of soft tyres yet. Maybe trying to stretch them a bit longer so they can be confident on getting the medium tyres to come until the rain comes, but they're going to be losing so much time to Black Box. I mean, although, say that, Noob's 31 seconds ahead of Black Box at the moment, but just looking on board with Noah as now Smalley gets ahead of Basti. I'm on board with Fleddy. Noah really struggling to hit the apex and most of the corners here at any reasonable speed, so he's going to be a sitting duck sooner rather than later. Surely, if you're on a set of softs, you've got to come in now, otherwise you're going to lose so much time to everyone else.
It reminds me a bit like EML Premier, I've got to say, this race. Well, obviously, Smalley is into the wall. Smalley is in the wall, coming through turn 19, and not sure if he got caught on the curb. He must have done. No, I think is into the pit lane as well, along with Nuff. And both of them are into the pit lane. Still, Basti continues on, which I think is quite extreme, to be honest, on that sort of soft. Smalley, though, continuing on. No damage, it seems, by the looks, on board the Alfa Romeo. I think it was just a slight mistake that he had. Obviously got that move done, and now he has to try and work back to retake the position. Basti's still on the back of Boss Wanted. Boss Wanted, by the way, now through, and he's into 4th. Not sure where that happened, but Boss Wanted is through and he's into 4th. And now Harry Banks on the back of Basti. One Red Bull against the other. Is there going to be team orders in play here? I don't think so, because Harry is diving it down the inside line of Basti. Lunges it slightly. Basti falls down wide by his own teammates. Hopefully they don't come together. The mediums against the softs. It should be the case that Harry Banks is going to get the move done. But again, Basti, the white boy in the Red Bull, looking side by side now, down towards the Singapore Sling. Harry on the inside line. This should be job done for Harry, surely. Harry Banks, former champion, through on Basti. Basti, though, sweeps back over at the top, and he tries to get the switch back. Now coming across the Anderson Bridge. This is a phenomenal stuff between both Red Bulls. Harry Banks in 5th, Basti in 6th, and eventually he gets the job done without a little bit of pressure from Basti. That was phenomenal racing.
Yeah, Basti, clearly taking inspiration from Sergio Perez. He did not know when he was beaten there on that set of soft tyres, and I can't imagine the two Red Bull boys are communicating in a party, because surely if they were, Javi might have told him to get out of the bleeping way at some point during that, because they nearly came together during turn 1. It was Boss Wanted, got ahead into the first corner. Javi almost followed through on Basti and had to just slam the brakes on at the last second, otherwise he could have found himself with a front wing being chopped off. Interestingly, Noah still a long way ahead of Blackbox, who's just really struggling on that set of hard tyres as Basti finally comes into the pits. We'll see how far down the order he drops. All the soft runners then are in, and it is now Jensen leading by 7.1 seconds after 7 laps from Fleddy, ahead of Lynx, Boss Wanted, Harry, Zoidemer, Funky Chicken, Rudy, Bunty, Smalley, your top 10. Always seems to get a more spread out field at Singapore. When you consider last week, I think by lap 9 or lap 10, the top 10 drivers were separated by about 4 seconds. Here, top 10 drivers are separated by 18 seconds.
Noah dived it down the inside line of turn 1 there as well. Gets the job done. He's into 12th position. Chalkers, I think, tried to let him through, but Noah just went too deep. There was a yellow flag in sector 1. It's Black Box that round. Black Box round. I think he's got caught on the curb coming through turn 2 and has set the car spinning. Luckily, he's kept going. He's there in 15th position, but I think a bad strategy call, possibly that might come back to bite him, has got even worse because of that spin. 5 seconds now behind Basti. Basti was behind him, and now Black Box is through and he's into 15th position. Jensen, though, leading the way. He keeps pulling out around half a second a lap on Fleddy, just on this compound tyres alone. They're both on the same strategy. Fleddy, of course, with a penalty, and looking at the penalties, actually, it's only Fleddy and Smalley that have got 3 seconds worth of time penalty so far. Looking at the tyres as well, Jensen has got 30% tyres. He is managing his tyres awfully well. Fleddy about 2 or 3% more, and especially that rear right has taken a hit. It's 6% more than Jensen's rear right. And at the minute, Jensen not only holding his tyres, he's holding the pace. This man's just different class.
Yeah, I mean, he has been all season. He's currently 14 seconds ahead of his teammate, which might be someone to watch out for if we do see the rain doesn't come early enough and these drivers have to come in off their set of mediums onto another set of dry tyres. I'd say at the moment it's a coin flip as to whether that is going to happen. So Jensen got to try and do a bit of a job of managing these tyres. Safety cars or VSCs would help. New fastest lap on the set of mediums, followed by Noah Jones. Not too surprising to see that change in. I'm just looking at the closest thing we've got to a battle out on track. Is this for 5th place at the moment? Harry Banks has got Zoidemer, Funky Chicken, and interestingly Rudy in his DRS as well. The McLaren doing a very good job on that set of hard tyres, although he's used up a lot of his ERS of doing so. That red light still flashing as he comes out of turn number 8, so he's going to find it extremely difficult to get any overtakes done. And we've got some support for Bunty in the chat here. He is in 9th place at the moment, still carrying on those hard tyres. Still a long way to go, as most races that I've done around street circuits have all been about survival, and that's, I think, all tonight's going to be, especially once we get to the wet conditions. But Harry Banks further ahead has now started closing in on the back of Boss Wanted. So now that he's in the DRS range, it'll be interesting to see if he can get a move done in the next few laps.
Track begun to look a lot clearer, I think, in terms of the conditions, certainly above, rather than actually on the track. Certainly, it seems to me as if it's beginning to clear up once again, so it looks like we've got clear weather for now, up until around 30 to 45 minutes in the race. And 30 to 45 minutes in the race will be around, I think Luke said it early on, around lap 18, lap 19 is where we could expect the rain to start falling. Initially, it is going to be inters. Whether or not it turns to full wet, it remains to be seen, as Harry Banks, interestingly, is into the pit lane. So Harry Banks is into the pit. It's a very, very early pit stop from a set of mediums, but it's actually not too bad, this pit stop, because he is going to come out around about Chalkers, Basti sort of area. They're just coming through the final sector. In fact, I think he's going to be ahead of these guys by an absolute mile. Harry Banks coming out of the pit lane. He's on a set of hard compound tyres. That screams to me, set of hard compound tyres. I think some of these drivers are not expecting the rain to come at all.
I think what it says to me is they're asking Jeff, oh, when is this rain going to come? And he's just not giving them a time at the moment. We can only see the weather at 30 and 45 minutes. It could start raining at 30 and a half minutes. It might start raining at 44 minutes, 59 seconds. If it's towards the end of that, you're going to be talking lap 25, 26, 27 before the rain starts coming. And at that point, is it worth coming into the pit and changing your tyres? I'd say not, unless it starts absolutely teaming it down. So it's borderline as to what's going to happen here. But Harry Banks clearly thinking that he was getting held up a bit. Surprised he didn't go on another lap or two on that set of the hard tyres, but he's now down in 14th and has got to start moving his way back up the order. So that just spreads out that mini train that was starting to form. Although Boss Wanted, he's having a pretty good race at the moment. Currently in 4th position. His best result so far this season has been a 7th place at the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix at Imola. Another driver, especially with Fleddy having a penalty, another driver that might have a slim chance of getting a podium.
Yeah, he is keeping up with the pace of Lynx as well. Zoidema and Funky Chicken just beginning to lose slightly, especially Zoidema on that set of medium compound tyres. Boss Wanted doing a good job at the minute. They're still continuing on that set of medium compound tyres. Funky Chicken in behind. Rudy has been going to be gapped as well by the mediums ahead. Basti picked up a 3-second penalty further down the field, as well as Noah Jones, I think, picking up a penalty there either earlier on. Harry Banks, though, is on the back of Chalkers. This is the closest battle that we have got out on track. It's probably not going to be a battle for too long, because Harry is all over the back of Chalkers, getting caught on the curve through 20 and 21, and now Chalkers all under pressure from the reigning champion. Apart from Jensen, of course, he's wrapped it up on the fake contact. They're in the wall, and Chalkers has spun round. I think Harry is going to wait up for him. Is he? No, he escapes the scene. Harry Banks has left the session as well. Out of frustration, I think, more than anything, but contact easily could have been avoided. It looked to me, Chalkers took too much curb on the inside, got a little bit of moment going left ways, then went right, then went into the back of into the side of Harry Banks. Looked like there was side pod damage as well. Unfortunate, because that could have been avoided, and I think Harry Banks could have just waited for that move.
Yeah, I think what happened is, like you said, just Chalkers just got such a bad exit off the final couple of corners that Harry just tried to get alongside him. Chalkers saw it happening, went to take a tighter line, and then just put too much power down on those set of hard tyres, lost the car. Very surprised that didn't end up in more damage than it actually did. Chalkers looks to have got away without any major damage on his car, and Harry, I think, did have some front wing damage, and he has effectively retired from this race then, and you're going to see Black Boxers scream past the AI car. But yeah, such a shame for both of them that has happened. I imagine there might be a few choice words between them later on in the Discord. Noof now picks up a penalty. He's up to 3 seconds, so one of 5 drivers already to have a penalty. And Jensen just keeps streaking away as Zoidema gets ahead of Boss Wanted, who has come into the pits.
Yeah, Boss Wanted into the pit lane from that set of medium compounded tyres. This screams to me another set of medium compounded tyres. Interesting. I thought you would have went for a set of hards, but it's not. It's Boss Wanted on for another set of mediums. He clearly thinks Lorraine is going to come a little bit sooner, so Jeff might be beginning to indicate to the drivers possibly that the wet conditions is probably not too far away. And look at the room, the amount of free air that Boss Wanted has got. He's coming into turn number 1 now, outside of the pit lane, of course, and he's around 5 seconds off the back of Basti. That is not too bad at all. Obviously, he can bridge that gap down. He's on the fresher tyres. He's on fresher tyres, and of course, Noob and Smalley and the likes ahead. And speaking of Nuth, Smalley gets sideways and Nuth recovers the car. It's going to be side by side through turn number 8, and luckily they're ghosted inside, and Nuth takes full advantage of a ghosted car, and Nuth is through and he's into P8, but Smalley had a caught on the curb coming through the left-hander of turn 7 at Memorial Corner. Fought one way, fought the other. Normally when you fight a car, it normally goes into the wall. Smalley with a good recovery. Yeah, he picks up a 3-second penalty now for it, but good recovery, and he's still within the race.
Yeah, still within the race. Big sigh of relief for him there, and a big sigh of relief that ghosting system worked. I know I've tried it on Gran Turismo that sometimes, and then everyone ghosted just as you're about to go through them, and you end up in a bit of a collision. But yeah, Smalley, taps the wall again, coming through turn number 14, really starting to struggle on those older sets of the medium tyres, so a bit of a shame for him. Might see him coming into the pit soon. And Boss Wanted has definitely put all his eggs in the it's going to rain basket. Otherwise, you'd have stayed a long way away from doing the 2 stops around here and just do the more traditional 1-stop medium to hard strategy. So that's what he's hoping for. Further up the field, Zoidema, now that he's got a bit of free air, now that he's, Harry Banks has got out of the way, Boss Wanted's got out of the way, he's starting to close up to Lynx, and he's doing a much better job on his ERS. This is a very typical Zoidema performance, because he was also, I believe, on a fresh set of tyres on the start of this race, starting down in 13th. So now we're starting to see those who started on the older sets of mediums from qualifying starting to struggle. Drivers like Zoidema and Funky Chicken, who had a fresher set, still doing okay.
Nuth absolutely breezes past Bunty. They're not hopping on board the Bunty train this week. Nuth is through and he's into P7. Got that job done very easily indeed. It looked like he was going to get a bit impatient at one time, but the gap came from down the inside of turn 6, through the kink that was of turn 6. Got the job done, and he's through and he's into 7th position. Bunty there now down into 8th. Possibly still a Bunty train to form in behind. Somali and Noah in behind, of course. Not going to get at the scenes like we did in Mexico, I don't think, but the Ferrari there in 8th position. Jensen though leading the way, Fleddy in 2nd, Lynx in 3rd, Zoidema in 4th. Jensen, by the way, is only 11.1 seconds clear of Fleddy at this stage of the race. I say that only a little bit sarcastically, but Jensen doing a fantastic job. Of course, he's just a class above the rest at this stage. Not only is he gapping the likes of Fleddy and Lynx, obviously nothing is coming into play on that fresh set of mediums. But Jensen, if it stays dry, and in fact he's coming into the pit lane now, so this will be the biggest indicator. Jensen now into the pit lane. Is he going to go for another set of mediums? If so, the rain is probably going to come within the next 7 or 8 laps, I would say. And it looks to me as if it is a set of medium compounded tyres. So I think Jensen now, it's set in stone, medium compounded tyres. If the rain's going to come for around half an hour in the race, we're expecting it in the next 5 laps. That means Jensen is going to be doing maybe 11, 12 laps before it turns wet?
Yeah, maybe. I'd say that's just to me, Jeff said, 10 to 15 minutes for the rain starting to come. I'll be surprised if we go more than 10 laps before it starts raining, as Boss wanted sets that fastest lap of the race. So he's doing a pretty good job at the moment. Jensen's come out a long way behind him. He's battling with Noah Jones. That just shows how powerful the undercut is here. But there we go. He's managed to get that move done. Rudy gets ahead of Funky Chicken. So now the hard tyres are starting to come into play. This is what could change things here, as Jensen and Smalley are battling side by side.
Smalley, I think, just boxing in Noah Jones there as well. Both of them get the move done eventually. They have to wait their turn. Jensen through, he's into 8. Gets both moves done, actually. Obviously, got Noah coming out the pit lane. But Jensen now through and he's into 8. Noah there through 9. Smalley into 10. That could have easily ended up in a different position. Oh, great work, I've got to say. Noah, of course, backed out the throttle. Smalley ran wide, and obviously got the move done as he's in the wall, and I think that's left some end plate damage on the car as well. And Noah, unfortunately, I think, has he just suffered wing damage? I can't really tell. Well, it's not updating on the task system, so that's probably why we can't tell. But certainly it looks to me, Noah, with a 3-second penalty there, beginning to struggle. Certainly he's got some sort of damage on that left side end plate as he goes for a slide coming out of 14.
Yeah, if he had front wing damage, you'd expect him to be being a bit more careful here. But yeah, seems to be chucking it around all over the place. Not sure if he has got any damage or whether he had just overheated the rears ever so slightly. As Fleddy now, race leader, comes into the pit. And again, this is, do you gamble for the hard tyres, thinking that it's not going to rain? And he is going for that. He's going for a set of hards. So we're seeing different strategies here. No one knows what's going to happen. A safety car, of course, throws it back towards those drivers that have put it on a set of medium tyres, because it just takes longer and longer for this race to go on, and everyone will have a free pit stop under the safety car. Noah Jones back into the pits then. He's going for a second set of mediums and a front wing, so it wasn't visible front wing damage, but he definitely did have some. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. That's Chalkers, who's lost it at the same place. Bunty got it wrong in qualifying, coming through turn number 18 and 19. He's got big front wing damage. He's going to have to come into the pits, and at the front of this race, you've got Zoidema really starting to put Lynx under pressure.
Yeah, definitely so. Chalkers, by the way, has got damage, 36% on that right front end plates. Unfortunately, he is now pretty much out of contention in this race. He will come out ahead of Harry Banks' AI, of course, and Harry Banks' AI is just ahead of the field in terms of being lapped. Lynx still leading the way. Zoidema in second, and Zoidema, I think, has really excelled. I've got to say, no one pun intended there at all. I think he's really excelled this season. Towards the back end especially, his performance has been getting better and better. Same with Lynx, in fact, as well. And the Alpine now is beginning to put the Mercedes under pressure. They've got Rudy, they've got Funky Chicken. They've got to watch out, though, for nothing behind. Nuth, by the way, has came out ahead of Jensen. Jensen, though, on that fresh set of mediums, clearly thinking that the rain is going to come towards the end of this race. When is it going to come, though, is a totally different thing. But he's 2.7 seconds behind. I think Nuth will catch Funky Chicken before Jensen catches Nuth. And that could mean there is a little bit of a train beginning to form, possibly 4th, 5th and 6th position. Of course, that is if Funky Chicken doesn't come into the pit, then he doesn't this time around. Lynx leading the way, Zoidema in second. Zoidema thought about it, down in towards turn 1. Doesn't get the move done. Jensen, though, fastest lap of the race. Do you know what I said with Nuth catching Funky Chicken? I think it might be totally a different way around, because Jensen catching Nuth quicker than Nuth is catching Funky Chicken. they could catch each other pretty much at the same time, I think.
Yeah, last lap around, Noof 1.2 seconds faster than Funky Chicken. Jensen 2.2 seconds faster than Noof. And you don't need any timings to see that Zoidema is much faster than Lynx down the inside into turn number 7, and he gets that move done. Lynx thinks about fighting back, is not able to do so further down the field. Boss Wanted gets ahead of Smalley as well a lot earlier on the straight. He's another driver with a fresher medium tyres, so let's not count him out of things. If your drivers that pitted a bit earlier, like Noof and Basti, now you're hoping, please make it so I don't have to pit in for another set of dry tyres and then start raining, because that would really, really ruin their races. What's going to make it awkward for Noof and Jensen as well when they're trying to catch through the field is there's now a bit of a DRS train happening from Zoidema to Funky Chicken, and then Noof and Jensen just starting to get onto the back of it.
Well, that battle from Zoidema and Lynx, I think, has brought Rudy and Funky Chicken back into play, and that is why we've got such an expansive DRS train. If they didn't fight, and Zoidema would have got that move done a lot easier, I think it would have been still first and second, away by around a second, and then Nuff and Jensen would be joining onto the back a third and fourth. Noah, by the way, is through on Black Box. That is down towards the Singapore's thing. I think Black Box might have made a slight mistake there. Or there was a let through, one of the two. Noah through into 12th nonetheless. Nuff, though, on the back of Funky Chicken. He's caught this DRS train at exactly the wrong time. Jensen, though, has caught Nuff at exactly the right time. Because Jensen is so much quicker than Nuff. He is going to be the one coming through this field now. And he's there in P6. Everyone in front of him has got to make a pit stop apart from Nuff. And Nuff now has got nothing to lose. He's got to try and get Funky Chicken. If not, this could end in absolute chaos running down towards Memorial Corner. We'll find out now. Zoidema on the run down towards Raffle Boulevard is holding the lead of the race. Nuff, though, on the back of Funky Chicken. And Funky Chicken just says, you know what, come through. Jensen, is he going to come through as well? No, there is a car now between the Williams and the McLaren. Crucial, I think, for Nuff to get ahead. Jensen, though, tries to launch it down the inside in towards turn 8. Not getting the move done. Harry Banks' AI is getting in the way, perhaps. And Jensen sends it down the inside line of turn 9. What a move that is. Jensen is doing his into P5. What an opportunistic move that was. But paid off to perfection. He's doing his into 5th.
Yeah, he's through his into 5th. I think that's Chalkers who's gone off again, coming out of turn number 30. Well, coming into turn number 14, it is a commonplace to have a problem with the car. Funky Chicken actually closed his DRS halfway down that straight, I think realising how futile his efforts were to keep Noof behind him. But Jensen, what a move, what a committed move into turn number 9. Maybe just realising that Funky Chicken could get distracted on paying attention to the AI. Sent it and did a very good job indeed. And now Noof's trying to send it all over Rudy, who will be going slightly longer, of course. He might still be trying to stretch his tyres out until the rain comes, so don't count Rudy out for a good performance here. Lynx, though, is struggling all over the pace. Surely we're going to be seeing a couple of these drivers coming in soon. He's got that massive graining on the front right tyre, and no, Lynx, he's pretty much committed now until the rain comes. He's got to try and stay out and got to hope that these mediums last, but he is coming under all sorts of pressure. And just look, 1, 2, 3, 4 cars all over the back of him, and Jensen's into the back of Noof.
And Jensen into the back of Nuff, but Nuff also went into the back of Rudy, and I'm not sure if there is damage. There is damage for both Jensen and Nuff. Looking at the task system, both end plates for Nuff, it's light damage, light green damage, but it's 10-13% on both front wing, on both end plates. Jensen, though, left side end plate damage 21%, and now Rudy is the one that's attacking Lynx down into the Memorial Corner, gets the job done on the send. He's turning it into second, and that is what happens when you get caught in a McLaren sandwich. There's a yellow flag through sector 1, and I think that is Noah Jones that is round through the final corner. That might be a safety car or a VSC, because that front wing is completely off. It is offline, but we get back to green flag racing, so nothing there. Zoidema leading the way, and all of that battling, all of that carnage that happened down in towards turn number 1, Rudy 2.3 seconds behind. Zoidema is the one that's got away.
Zoidema is the one that's got away, and I'd say at the moment he's still a good 6 or 7 laps before his mediums are even considering heading towards a puncture. Whereas if you're Lynx, you're probably about 2 or 3 laps before you're getting into that trouble. Yeah, such bad luck for Noof and Jensen. I think maybe they could have been a bit more cautious, because they knew Lynx was leading that train and was really struggling on his tyres. They're all following close together, and Jensen just didn't react quick enough. Noof then going into the back, and Jensen and Noof both with, I'd say, severe enough front wing damage that you might be considering coming into the pits. But they know if they do come into the pits, any chance they've got of getting the race victory has gone out of the window. And here we go, Jensen is having to come in, as is Lynx as well, and Noof actually decided to stay out. This race is switching around here, you've got to say. Now Zoidema and Rudy could be looking in a brilliant situation.
There could be. Nuth gets out of the way. Nuth gets out of the way. Basti. So Basti through and he's into 4th. Nuth there into 5th. That was a strange one, to be honest. He was nearly a second clear of Basti, and he just pulled off to the side of the road. And Nuth now in P5. Boss Wanted now P6. Boss Wanted is the one that I'm looking at possibly to try and take the race away. Nuth has definitely got more damage than he's actually leading on to, I think, here. Boss Wanted through, and he's into 5th. He absolutely saunters past him as if he's not even there. Smalley and Fleddy are fighting side by side as well, coming through turn number 5. And Fleddy is on the outside line of him. He tries to switch to the inside line, but he has to force all the way around the outside. It's easy in the end. Fleddy through and he's into 8th position. He's another one that he can watch out for later on in this race. The more that this race goes on, though, and the less threat of rain there is, there's the yellow flag in Sector 3, and that is Noah Jones out of the race in the pit lane. I think Chalkers has crashed in a separate incident as well. I think he went down the escape road. All sorts of happening here in Singapore. Zoidema leading the way, Rudy in 2nd. Rudy's odds, though, are now beginning to switch online. He's chasing down the Dutchman.
Yeah, let's not only watch out, let's watch out for Lynx and Jensen further back that have both gone onto a set of the soft tyres. They're going to be screaming up to the back of Smalley, Freddie, Noof and the rest of these drivers in the next few laps. They're now hoping it just stays dry, that lap or two longer. And hey, they might still be in with a chance of this race. You cannot call it. Penalty situation. All on 3 seconds apart from Smalley and Chalkers. They have got 6. And of course, Noah and Harry are now out of the race. So much action, so much going on. Singapore, you never quite know what's going to happen with the strategies around this circuit, and 9 times out of 10, there is going to be some wet weather. I know in real life we've only had, I believe, 1 wet race at Singapore, and that was 2017, and you don't need me to tell you that we got plenty of action in the first corner of that race, never mind in the first 20 laps. Brilliant racing so far, and Rudy just starting to reel in Zoidema 7/10 of a second. That last lap around, it's looking pretty good for the McLaren, but this time it's not Jensen, it's Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy doing a fantastic job in 2nd. I am just thinking, I've just literally been calculating in my head. The rain still is nowhere to be seen here in Singapore. If we go on another 5 or 6 laps, I really have a feeling that this race is going to stay dry towards the end. Because unless there is an absolute deluge, and I'm talking storm deluge of 60 minutes on the TAS system, if it doesn't get to that, we could be having possibly a changeable condition race right towards the end, certainly within the last final 5 laps of the race. Zoidema leading the way, Rudy in 2nd, Funky Chicken in 3rd. Basti, there was all over the back of the Alpine, and the Alpine, of course, has got 8 laps. Younger tyres has Basti compared to Funky Chicken, dives it down the inside line. Can he get the car stopped though in towards the apex of 14? Yes, he can. Basti waltzes past him and he's through and he's into 3rd. Nice move on the brakes there. And now he can set about trying to chase after Rudy and Zoidema. And you would imagine Basti, on that set of medium compounded tyres, he's going to be faster than the 2 ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I think we are now about 32, 33 minutes into this race. So I don't think, if the rain is going to come, I don't think we're going to be too far away from it. I'm now going to change my prediction to before lap 26, we'll definitely get some. And who knows what could happen. It could be one of those where if it just rains lightly, it might be worth putting on a set of soft tyres because they'll keep the temperature and they'll let you fly up the order. As you can see by how quickly Lynx is closing up to the pack ahead of him. He's 1.8 seconds behind Smalley. All of a sudden, I just try and see what lap time he's set this time. Smalley's done a 1:43.5. Lynx has done a 1:38.3. He's catching up 5 seconds a lap on Smalley. Jensen's done a 1:37. Boss Wanted is all over the back of Funky Chicken, pulls out of the slipstream and gets himself up into 4th place. Rudy's now within DRS range of XL Zoidema. With 10.5 laps to go, we know it's going to rain. We just don't know when.
Oh, I'm looking at Lynx with the traction. Nuth pulls off to the right-hand side. He has to dip further in the slipstream, but Smalley's got the better straight line speed. On the run down in towards Memorial Corner. Lynx sends it on the brakes. He sends it into the back of Smalley, though, and Smalley sent wide. Lynx is through and he's into 8th. I think that's a push to the pass, and that needs to be reverted to the stewards. I think Lynx is through and he's into P8. No matter how strong your tyres are, Smalley is now spun, and a reset to track, in fact, coming through the right-hander of turn number 8. Zoidema leading the way. I don't know where this race is going to be going off to towards the end of this race, but my God, you're in for a treat. Zoidema leading the way. Rudy in 2nd. As Luke said, we're around 35 minutes, I think, now into this race. No threat of rain. Normally on the 45-minute spot it is. 45 minutes and 10 laps time will be lap 28. Rain, I don't think it's going to come.
Yeah, well, at the moment, as he said, it's really hard around here to tell what the weather conditions are like because cloudy, overcast, clear sort of look like the same. There's definitely some clouds up in the sky, but it's staying dry for now. And Moody, the closest he's been Yeah, I agree with you. Lynx, if that gets reported to the stewards by Smalley, he's going to be getting himself a slam dunk penalty. He sort of didn't go for the move, but was always going to have much better grip than Smalley, and it was inevitable he was going to go into the back of him. So yeah, very strange there from Lynx. Shows how much better the tyres are, though. That Lynx and Jensen, even though Noof has been sort of driving around feeling sorry for himself with that front wing damage, they've been able to get ahead of him. As here comes Rudy on Zoidemer, all over the back of him. This could be for the lead of the race, and down the inside into turn number 8. Zoidemer's going to try and hang it off all around the outside for 2. Almost come to blows, then into turn 8. Rudy's now got the outside line, has got the extra grip, and that is Rudy into the lead of this race, and Zoidemer gets demoted into second, but both of them could start coming under pressure from Boss Wanted and Basti any moment now.
Yeah, 2.2 seconds between Zoidemer and Boss Wanted. Phenomenal stuff though by Zoidemer. Try and hang it on in there, to be honest, on Rudy. And Rudy sent down the inside line. The gap was half there, to be honest. He tried to force the gap. He almost forced Zoidemer onto the curb slightly and forced him into a slight mistake. And that's why Rudy had the traction around the outside of turn 8, got the job done, and he's into the lead of the race. But look at how quickly Boss Wanted is getting now onto the back of Zoidemer. He's caught 7/10 of a second. This couple of corners alone, and now he's coming to the left-hander of now 17, and then underneath the grandstand of 18 and 19. Boss Wanted has not had this race yet in terms of the race win. Lynx and Jensen, by the way, they're definitely out of the race win, I think. Can they get within 5th position, though? That could be an insane result from both Lynx and Jensen's perspective. Obviously, with that damage, of course, safety cars, VSCs might also be thrown as well. Rudy leading the way, 9/10 to second. Zoidemer in second, but Boss Wanted is catching now hand over fist, and the AlphaTauri, who just picked up his first 3-second penalty with a clear-cut penalty coming through turn number 1 as the rain has started.
Yeah, the rain has started, and that's a relief for these front 3 drivers, because let's not forget, Boss Wanted went medium, so he's got to come into the pits. Anyway, even if it did stay dry, he'd have had to come in to change another set of tyres, but the rain has now started to come. How heavy it's going to fall, I'm not so sure, and now Noof's coming into the pits. He's clearly hoping that we just get a good old Southeast Asian deluge like we used to get at the Malaysian Grand Prix, because he's coming to the pits. So is Harry Banks. This could be one to watch out, because if the AI car is coming into the pits and putting on that's another set of medium tyres actually, so ignore that. Noob comes in, new front wing set of intermediate tyres. There's no way. There is no way in hell it is wet enough at this moment in time for a set of the intermediates. Very, very strange, although it is absolutely throwing it down out there.
It is throwing it down. I'm watching across the Anderson Bridge. I'm both with Boss Wanted. In a lap's time,
Basti
this will be de-arrestable, because as Basti has spun.
Basti's spun, yeah, that's just coming onto the Anderson Bridge. Basti has lost it. Do you know what? It might be this lap around. It might be wet enough for a set of the intermediate tyres here. You can see the spray coming off of Zoidemer's car. He's just holding on from Boss Wanted at the moment. Bunty sends it down the inside of Funky Chicken. We've barely mentioned the Ferrari. DRS is disabled. 1 lap is all it's taken for us to get from full dry conditions to absolutely teaming it down, and we're needing intermediates, and that's Boss Wanted round the outside of Zoidemer. Rudy's looking very strong in this race to take this victory. If he can keep it out of the wall and get himself towards the pit lane, we're going to see the entire field come in for a set of tyres, as I think Fleddy's had a spin as well.
Yeah, Fleddy has had a spin. I'm not sure if there was a reset to track in there as well, but Fleddy is now down into 9th position. I think Basti, and Lynx is off. Lynx is off coming through 10, 20 and 21. Goodness me, this track, honestly, I have not seen a track change this quickly on an F1 game in any commentary in my entire life. Lynx nearly going into the back of Fleddy as well. Everyone's in for a set of inters. Rudy now leads the way. Boss Wanted in second. Zoidemer in third. Who would have predicted that as a top 3? Remains to be absolutely seen. If you predicted that, well done. Bunty there in 4th. Jensen now into 6th. Basti is getting the front wing change, so that is why he is now dropping down the field behind even Fleddy. And Lynx also with that front wing change as well. I've never seen a race change so quickly in terms of the inters. And do you know what? With still 7 laps to go, I'm not even going to put out that it could turn full wet before the end of this race.
I think it could turn full wet, but, well, I was about to say whether it'll turn full wets early enough to make a difference, but judging by how quickly we went from full dries to full intermediates, maybe it will turn early enough for us to get a set of full wet tyres. Black Box just making his way into the pits then. The final car, turns out the AI of Harry Banks did not know what he was doing when he came in for a set of the medium tyres. But yeah, everything just switches around now. Rudy with an effective 3.3 second lead over Boss Wanted because Zoidema does have them 6 seconds of penalties, as does Bunty. This is looking like a very good race all of a sudden for the Alpine team, who might just be sneaking themselves a 2nd and a 4th place. And if Zoidema, with the way things are at the moment, if he finishes in 2nd, I think that'd get him up into 3rd in the championship.
Well, calculations, I think, on that, but 1.4 seconds is the gap between himself and Boss Wanted, and he's doing a phenomenal job. But who is going to be quicker on this set of intermediate compound tyre now out on track as the rain absolutely falls here? As I say, I've never seen a track change so quickly in half a lap than we have here in Singapore. Rudy leading the way, but he goes deep in towards turn 18, and now Boss Wanted gains that time back to around 1.4 seconds. So he gains a good 5-6 tenths of a second there just through that section alone. And Rudy just going a little bit locking up, obviously, in towards turn 18 and 19 there. Boss Wanted still within a chance of winning this. But who is going to be the better on this set of inters? Normally, I would say it's probably Zoidema. I think Zoidema, in these conditions, around this track, this is absolutely set in stone for him to get a good result. He's there in 3rd position. Boss Wanted there in 2nd as a 2.5 seconds up the road. And Zoidema there in 3rd. If them two make mistakes and come to blows, Zoidema's there to pick up the pieces of the yellow flag in Sector 1. And that is for, I think, Chalkers just getting out of the way.
Yeah, I think it must have been for Chalkers getting out of the way. Last lap around, Zoidema was coming out of the pits, gained 2 tenths of a second on Rudy. You can't really use that as a real margin on what the pace is like. We'll have a look this time, of course, using the test system to see what is happening. Jensen's now in 6th place. He's going to get Bunty on penalties here, and we know what Jensen's pace is like. It wouldn't surprise me if he ends up catching up to the back of Funky Chicken and somehow manages to finish in 4th place from a race where he has done the only driver at the moment to have done 3 stops. Harry Banks' today high has done 4 stops. It has been a crazy final race to the season, and a lot of these drivers sometimes don't enjoy Singapore, but all the things they don't like about it, it's a tough track, you never know what the weather's going to do, is brilliant for us commentators, and brilliant for the spectators as well. And Zoidema, he's definitely the fastest out of the front 3 in these conditions. He's onto the back of Boss Wanted. He could do with clearing this AlphaTauri extremely quickly indeed. Easier said than done, though, when there's no DRS.
Easier said than done, because he nearly catches a slide coming through 14 as well to Zoidema. Now on the back of Boss Wanted, but Boss Wanted places on the track. He's making mistakes as well. Rudy, though, looks like he's beginning to get away. He's beginning to settle into this rhythm now. He's finding his feet, and now he's in the lead of this race by 1.7 seconds. Boss Wanted there in 2nd, Zoidema in 3rd. I think you're right about Jensen. Jensen could be on for P4. He's gained half a second alone on Funky Chicken just through this middle sector, and now, coming into the final sector, he's going to try and put the hammer down to try and close up. You never know, it's another safety car, or VSC, could throw this race entirely wide open. Hopefully, well, for the sake of the viewers, I think, hopefully we might get one. But look at the rain. The rain is so intense out on track. It's only really necessary down in towards Raffles Boulevard, especially, where you'll see the rain falling. And it's so intense, the rain. As I said, what 3-4 laps ago, I think now, it could be full wets towards the end of this race, and you never know. Do not discount the likes of Jensen, the likes of Funky Chicken further down the field. Bunty there in 4th, having his best race of the season by an absolute mile. He absolutely timed his strategy to call to perfection. And now the Ferrari there in 4th could be on, potentially for a podium if anything happens in front of him.
He's still got pretty good pace as well. Like, he's going the same pace as Rudy out in front to the fouls up for the 2nd last time around. So Bunty's still doing a good job. Zoidema was the fastest out of the front 3 last lap, but it all seems to have just balanced out ever so slightly as they're all finding their way around. Of course, I don't think it's quite simulated on this game like you get in the real life, but the one thing that makes this track even more awkward in the wet conditions is all these lovely white painted lines that are all over the circuit, and find yourself finding them in the traction zones. Unsurprisingly, fastest man last lap by about half a second compared to everyone else was Jensen. Fastest lap of the race, and we can safely say who's going to get that fastest lap now, is Jensen. So that's another bonus point to add to the 200 odd that he's got so far this season. Him catching up to Funky Chicken could happen. Noof possibly catching up to Lynx as well. So unlucky for him just getting involved in that incident. And Zoidema catching up to Boss Wanted. 5 laps to go. Teaming it down with rain, but no puddles appearing yet. And once you start seeing the puddles, that's generally a sign that we're ready for the full wets. It's going to be a fine margin as to whether anyone risks it, though, as to whether you'll gain any time.
Now, I'm looking through the final corner there. I thought I saw puddles on the left-hand side just coming through the final corner. Remains to be seen. Some tracks, some corners on this track is obviously going to be wetter than others, and that is why I think we're seeing a differentiation between drivers out on track obviously going full throttle and then obviously having to try and dip down as Bunty picks up another penalty. Just thought I'd throw this out, by the way, as well. Rudy, Boss Wanted, Zoidimer and Bunty all on an alternate strategy, all starting pretty much outside of the top 10, apart from Boss Wanted and 10, have gained positions 10 and 8 positions gained respectively out of each of them. Funky Chicken has gained 4. He really wasn't on the alternate strategy, you could call it, but he's done a phenomenal job as Chalkers goes off. I thought that was Zoidimer going off there through turn number 7, but Funky Chicken is there in 5th position, right on the back of Bunty, getting caught by Jensen all the time as well. Race is not over yet, really leading the way. Boss Wanted 2nd, Zoidimer in 3rd, and 4.5 laps to go as we come across the Anderson Bridge.
Yes, interestingly, and this might be a graphics glitch, but as you can see on the telemetry, there is the blue pit sign lit up on Zoidimer's car. Now that says you're coming into the pits. Why on earth would the game even be suggesting for you to come into the pits at the moment, unless it thought it was ready for full wet tyres? It's still coming down quite a lot. I still don't think we're quite there yet for full wet tyres, but I think if there's going to be a lap to come in, this would be the one for you to have any chance of gaining some more places. But Zoidimer, is he going to throw away a potential... Is he going to take that risk if it is ready for the tyres? He'd throw away a potential podium. He'd drop probably down to around about Basti he is now. So we're talking 8th position. We'll see if he does dive into the pits or if he is going to stay out on circuit. And yeah, I think the game may be just lying to us there. So I think now we'll see the field staying out there as that's Smalley, who's lost it on the end of the Anderson Bridge, having a bit of a lonely run to 11th place at the moment. But fair play to Smalley, Black Box and Chalkers. They found it tough in this race, but they keep going.
Yeah, they keep going definitely, and obviously still points available for 13th position upwards, basically, because Harry Banks obviously still running around there in AI mode. And has he been lapped by the field? I think he has been lapped by the field, if I'm not mistaken. Rudy, though, leading the way. Boss Wanted 2nd, Zoidimer in 3rd. Zoidimer now beginning to try and apply a bit of pressure to Boss Wanted down the Raffles Boulevard and down into the Memorial Corner. He is now beginning to apply that pressure, and the Dutchman on the back of Boss Wanted, the NLR man, of course, famously, of course, racing in EML earlier on this season. Zoidimer went very, very deep in towards turn number 8 there, and Boss Wanted catches the curb through turn number 9, and just beginning to see small mistakes creeping in. This is good for Rudy, because he's now 2.1 seconds clear of the rest of the field and beginning to pit in. Smalley, however, into the pit lane. This will be the first telling sign. Is he going to go for another set of inters? Is he going to go for a front wing change? Or is he going to go blue wall tyres? That looks as if it's a set of inters, unless I'm blind. That is a set of inters for Smalley, and it doesn't look like the game is going to be lying to us anytime soon. In terms of Jeff pitting these guys in, I don't think, with 3 laps to go, anybody will be so silly to pit in.
No, you'd be talking 7 or 8 seconds a lap delta for it to be worthwhile, and we're not at that stage at the moment, because if we were, everyone would have probably come in last lap around rather than waiting until this one. Zoidimer is putting all sorts of pressure on the Boss Wanted. He's really starting to get held up at the moment, but needs to stay patient. He doesn't need to overtake Boss Wanted. That racer's instinct, though, says to me that he's going to give it a really good go here. And Boss Wanted won't want to get caught up too much. He's on for his first podium of the season as things stand, so he won't want to get in any trouble with 3 laps to go. And he's doing a bit of a better job on his electrical energy as well. Further back, Funky Chicken still keeping about a second behind Bunty at the moment, but might want to get a move on because he has got Jensen starting to close his way in. Yellow flag again. I think that might have just been Chalkers getting out of the way. Himself and Harry Banks are a lap down. Smalley and Black Box should, if they don't get into any trouble, manage to complete the full race distance. But we've got some close battles out on track at the moment without any DRS. It is going to be extremely tough, though, to see those battles turn into real overtaking opportunities.
I think Zoidimer, though, could have a real overtaking opportunity later on in this race. Chalked, I think it's fun. Zoidimer nearly goes into the back of Boss Wanted. Goodness me, choking on another fly. Really leading the way. Boss Wanted 2nd, Zoidimer in 3rd. And with 2.5 laps to go, Boss Wanted is under so much pressure now, I think. Zoidimer, it's just a matter of time, I think, for Boss Wanted. When is he going to crack? Zoidimer can feel that he is going to crack in front. He certainly looks like he might. Zoidimer, though, has to try and get this move done. Racer's instinct will probably tell him, go for the move. I want to try and get the race win. He is still 2.5 seconds away. And you know what, Rudy, if he picks up a 3-second penalty, I'm going to quickly look at the race directorship to just check. And in terms of him, he's on 2 warnings. Rudy is on 2 warnings. Luckily, he hasn't picked up any in the last 10 laps or so. Rudy, though, leading the way. Boss Wanted second, Zoiderman third. One overrun at a curve could be all the difference between winning and losing here.
Yeah, Zoiderman is also on 2 warnings as well, as there's no proving that even in the wet conditions. Oh, Zoiderman a bit deep into turn number 18. That wall was getting extremely close to him, too close for comfort. Manages to get away with it. They are just catching up to the back of a car. I think that will be Harry Banks, who's, I think that's actually obviously, of course, Rudy, just up ahead, who's had a bit of a mistake, I think, on that lap, because the margin has shrunk again. It's now 2.2 seconds covering all 3 of them, with 2 laps to go, and it's about 2 seconds covering Bunty, Funky Chicken and Jensen with 2 laps to go. If anyone was going to come into the pits, it'd be someone like Noof, who's got plenty of penalties. He's 50 seconds ahead of the next car, and Noof nearly there again. They're all taking that very deep line into turn number 18, and I think if they do that one time too often, they are going to get caught out. As I think Rudy might have just made another slight mistake. It is really closing up at the moment. You don't know. It's so easy just to lock a wheel and go straight on at a corner. I think we've seen all these drivers have their own little moments throughout qualifying and the race. You can't call it between who's going to cross the line first.
One thing that I can definitively say as well, puddles now beginning to form on the circuit. Certainly down in the first sector, we see the puddles now beginning to form, but Rudy still hanging on out in front. These final 2 laps are going to be hell for the drivers now, and Boss Wanted is all over the back of Rudy. Zoiderman is in there in third. Rudy has to try and take it easy. They all have to try and take it easy, but Boss Wanted and Zoiderman, they look like they've got extra pace, to be honest, and looking at Zoiderman's tyres especially, he definitely has got extra pace compared to Boss Wanted, and he's now 1.5 seconds covering the top 3. This race is not over yet. Rudy leading the way. Boss Wanted in second, Zoiderman in third. A cold F2 duel in the city. I think the final lap might go down to the duel in the city, but it's going to be between 3 drivers for the lead.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant at the moment. The problem is, where do you go for the move? If you have got, as I just saw on the inside on the one between 17 and 18, where do you go for the move if you have got these puddles starting to appear? Because you hit one the wrong way, no assist, you're locking up both front tyres and just sending yourself straight into the back of one car and maybe even 2. With how close they are at the moment. Final lap of the race just starting now then. Rudy in the lead, Boss Wanted second, Zoiderman third. All of them staying well away from the curbs. Basti's picked up another penalty. He'll be wondering what could have been in this race if it wasn't for that spin, of course, before. Well, as the rain came, but before they came, for a set of intermediate tyres. I don't think Zoiderman or Boss Wanted are close enough to have a run down Raffles Boulevard into turn number 7. So it's all about on that straight after the Anderson Bridge and trying to see if you can do it into turn 14, but you'd have to be an extremely brave man at this point in the race.
Rudy has saved enough up, I think, for the end of the race, though, because the ERS, he's on 70%. Boss Wanted on 48%. Zoiderman is on 11%, and Zoiderman is the one that's trying a little bit too much, I think, to catch up to the back. I don't think he's going to get the move done. Somebody that might, though, is Jensen on the back of Funky Chicken, dead into Memorial Corner. Memorial Corner now, of course, proving to be the final lap of this race. Jensen now through turn 8. He's right on the back of the Chicken. Can the Chicken fight off Jensen, the champion? Boss Wanted, however, I think has just made a mistake coming through the Singapore Sling, and Zoiderman's through, and he's into second position. So that is absolutely crucial. Zoiderman now, the racer's instinct is probably thinking, do you know what? I could probably win this, but still half a lap to go. Rudy leads the way by a second. Jensen, by the way, still all the back of Funky Chicken coming across the Anderson Bridge. He's surely not going to go for the move here. He dives it down the inside line of the hairpin. Can he get the job done? Funky Chicken will have the traction, he'll have the run, and he's just about going to scrape 5th position, possibly 4th. Bunty, though, was getting away from them. Bunty, I think, has got more than 3 seconds worth of time penalties. He's still leading the way. Harry Banks now putting off Rudy, coming through the section underneath the grandstand of 18 and 19. Rudy is hanging on for grim life here. Zoiderman there in second. This is not over with yet. Rudy coming through 21, and now into the final 2 corners. One spin here could make it all, and now Rudy through the final corner. He just about gets home for the Singapore Grand Prix. What an ending. Zoiderman in second. Boss Wanted in the end is third. Drove phenomenally well. Bunty in the end is going to come across the line to finish in 4th. Smalley came across the line as well, I think, on that full set of wet. Jensen in the end is a 10th of a second on Funky Chicken there in 4th. Jensen in 5th. Bunty down to 6th. Fleddy in 7th. Basti in 8th. Lynx in 9th. We'll let for the rest of the field. But Rudy, how close did that yes, right at the end of the race, Rudy scrapes home by 4/10 of a second. If that was another lap, Zoiderman might have just well had it.
If that was another lap, I think Zoiderman would have had it. I think, like you said, Boss Wanted made a slight mistake coming through turn number 10, that old Singapore sling. Funky Chicken did the exact same thing, but Jensen wasn't able to get ahead, and Zoiderman was, and then that AI card just started to cause a bit of a distraction. We're going to have a while to wait. Black Box, he's just coming into turn number 14 now, and Smalley actually avoided getting lapped. Even though he's now got some of the leaders ahead of him, he avoided getting lapped. So he's going to come down in 12th place and be the final finisher. Brilliant race there. Rudy Zoiderman and Boss Wanted calling it right. And I said, you don't see the hard tyres too often. Rudy took that gamble of starting on the hards. They lasted well until the rain was coming. Then the medium struggled. And from there, it was all about bringing it home. Another fantastic performance by a McLaren. This time, though, it's not Jensen getting his 8th win of the season. It's Rudy getting his 2nd.
Yeah, Rudy, of course, getting his 2nd win of the season. Fantastic win. Again, another lap. Zoiderman probably would have had it. Black Box has crossed the line to finish in 11th. We're going to be waiting until Christmas, I think, for Smalley to come home. There in 12th position. Of course, he is on that full set of wets. And on that full set of wets, he actually goes into the wall coming out of 14. And I think he's got right side end plate damage there as well. Funky Chicken's AI is crucially ahead of him, just out on track. This could be quite, well, maybe fun to watch between them both. Will the AI car go ghosted? I don't think it will, because Smalley, on the back of Funky Chicken's AI, it's almost like last lap again, and Funky Chicken's AI is still not getting out of the way, and he's now becoming a rolling roadblock. This is just maybe a little bit hilarious to watch, and he's trying to get through, and Smalley through the final corner into 22 and 23. He lights up the rear tyres. He will cross the line eventually to finish in 12th. Goodness me. Funky Chicken's AI could have maybe got a penalty there for not even doing anything, I've got to be honest. But driver of the day, what about the in-game fans of Zoiderman? And you know what? I think he might just well get driver of the day as well. Top step of the podium, though, does go Rudy. And the McLaren, once again, the McLarens, I think, have been a focal point this season. They've just dominated every single race they've come to. I think there's only been one race, if I'm not mistaken, that obviously McLaren didn't take. And they've just come to show they've been so dominant this season.
Yeah, brilliant. And every time Jensen's not been on the podium, Rudy's taken a race victory. They've just been there or thereabouts. It's the only race he didn't win was Hungary, where Tom Robbo ended up taking the victory there. But brilliant performance today by Rudy. And Zoiderman as well, you've got to say, keeping it clean. Boss Wanted, maybe if it wasn't for the penalties, he might have had a better race as well. It turns out that medium strategy that he did, again, an inspired choice.
Yeah, 2 wins this season that McLaren haven't took. Tom Robbo in the Imola Sprint and in Hungary. So Tom Robbo, the IFR man, coming back to bite, I think, McLaren there. And finishing, of course, first in both Hungary and Imola. If not, it would have been a perfect season for McLaren. Rudy takes the win, though, from 11th on the grid. Zoiderman in 2nd. Boss Wanted in 3rd. Funky Chicken in 4th. Jensen there in 5th with the fastest lap of the race as well, so they get an extra point for that. Bunty in 6th. Fleddy in 7th. Basti in 8th. Lynx in 9th. Noth ran off the top 10. Black Box in 11th did finish under his own volition, as well as Smalley, who didn't get lapped, in fact. He finished 2 minutes and 40 seconds down on the rest of the field. Chalkers there also finished. Harry Banks' AI finished in 14th, and Noah Jones finished in 15th position. DNFing, of course, out of the race early on, but fantastic win from Rudy Zoiderman and Boss Wanted. Shall we try and get the top 3 in?
We'll try. I believe, hopefully, some of them might be in the waiting room. I think Rudy is there now, so I'll transfer James over, and then I'll head over myself, and we can get the podium interview started.
We can indeed get the podium interview started. That was just flawless, I think, that change over there. But it is, of course, Rudy to the top step of the podium. And Rudy, it got quite tight on that final lap of the race. Your heart must have been absolutely thumping because you were thinking Zoiderman was going to get you on the final couple of corners.
Yeah, at the end of the race was a bit of a struggle because just before the final 2 laps, my wheel got a bit lowered down a bit, so it wasn't really nice to drive. So final lap on the main straight, I quickly fixed it. So, but yeah, you got very close at the end. I was just making sure not to get a penalty because I had 2 warnings, like pretty much all race. So yeah, it was quite intense at the end. But as soon as I went into the final sector in first, I knew it was pretty much over. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you thought it was pretty much over, and then Zoidema, I think, at one stage, coming through 2021, was about 2 tenths away. Did you always feel like you had enough to try and get the race win?
Yeah, to be honest, on the final lap, especially into the final sector, we did get very close. But I mean, he's a clean driver, like we all know. He's one of the cleanest drivers. So I didn't expect him to go for like some ridiculous dive, or I mean, he could have looked down the inside maybe, but yeah, I didn't think he would, and he didn't in the end. So yeah, I was pretty confident at the win as soon as I went into the final sector first.
Yeah, definitely so. Obviously, it was thrilling for us in the commentary box, because I don't think we've seen a race like that in Singapore, I think, ever here in TTML. But good job, of course, on the win, Rudy. Luke, any questions?
Yeah, congratulations on the win and a good season overall. You've had 5 podiums this season, 2 wins, a few pole positions. Do you think you can maybe take that next step and challenge Jensen and possibly anyone else for the championship next season?
Yeah, hopefully I'm gonna try, because I mean, the form I've had lately has been excellent. So yeah, hoping to get that on into next season as well, and challenge at the top again and win this time, hopefully.
That's it from me, James.
Final question from me then, Rudy. Obviously, Season 7 going to be happening within the next couple of weeks. Bahrain is the first track there. What is your expectations going into Season 7? I know you've already answered that in terms of Jensen. Can you try and challenge him? What's your expectations? Is it to get more wins than the 2 you've picked up this season?
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be the aim. 2 wins this season was, especially in Russia, was a bit of a surprise, and this one, to be honest, as well. But yeah, I pulled it off with the strategy. Yeah, I think in the end of the season, I'm happy with the 2 wins I got. But for next season, I'm definitely gonna try to get that number a bit higher. And yeah, that's definitely gonna be the aim.
Yeah, it's been fantastic to see you race. Of course, brilliant driving, I've got to say, here in Singapore. And congratulations on your win. You can go and enjoy your evening.
Thanks.
Very welcome indeed. And now we'll move on to the man who finished in P2. It was Zoidema. And Zoidema, completely different side of the coin. You were pushing Rudy all the way to the line. Do you think you would have got him with another lap in that race?
I don't think so, because in the wet in Singapore, it is pretty much impossible to overtake unless somebody makes a mistake. I would think I was quite a bit faster than Boss wanted as well, especially near the end. But it's just, you can't really get an opportunity to overtake unless somebody makes a mistake. Like I said, like, it's just hard to follow. And then on the straight without a DRS, it's just, yeah, like, unless I run like insanely low wings, which isn't possible here, there's like not really an opportunity to overtake.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I got to a point, as I said in Rudy's interview, that it was around 2 or 3 tenths coming outside the final 2 corners. And I was literally like, one mistake could end up being the difference between winning and losing. Luckily, none of you made mistakes, so Rudy obviously took the win. Did you feel like you could have got a podium out of this race, considering where you started on the in the grid?
Yeah, because I knew there was rain at the end, and I think I had a really good strategy, because I knew only the hard runners, or I knew, but I was expecting only the people outside the top 10 to fight for the win because of the rain. Because I was expecting everybody to go on hards, because to make it to the end, to the rain without a pit stop. And I know because of my good wear, I can do that with the mediums, so I can have the pace at the start of the race. I think I was just a bit stuck in traffic too much at the start, so Rudy could stay too close behind me, or the rain should have started a few laps earlier. And if that one of those 2 things happened, I think I would have won the race, actually.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm looking at the standings as well. I think you've picked up 3rd in the championship, with Fleddy finishing 7th and Lynx finishing 9th. So if you have finished 3rd, it marks a very good step up, of course, from F2, from dominating last season, to F1, and obviously picking up pretty much a podium in your first championship here in TTML F1.
Yeah, like I said last week as well, like, I'm happy with some performances this season, but I also had a few bad and unlucky races. Like, I'm not quite happy about the whole season. Like I said last week, 3rd sounds better than the season actually was.
which I think obviously is going to be, I think, a long-term focus, certainly for you next season in terms of improving the performances, improving the race. Hopefully, of course, we do get to see you next season. I can't wait until to see how you get on, of course, next season. Maybe with a little bit of less bias towards Jensen, of course, winning the championship. Luke, coming across to you, any questions?
No questions from me, James. Just congratulations, Oidema, on getting P3 in the championship.
Thank you.
And same question as I asked Rudy. Of course, Season 7 next season. How do you think you're going to get on? What's your expectations going into next season?
I actually haven't signed up for next season. So there's not really expectations, unfortunately.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. I thought you would have signed up.
Yeah. The second half of the game, I usually race a lot less, and also because the iRacing season starts again, so I'm usually only do like 1 or 2 leagues, and this time it's only like 1 league that I'm doing. So yeah, most of the time, the second half of the game, I don't really race that much on F1.
I mean, I don't blame you, to be honest. Of course, this game, I think, is 6 and 7 months now into the game cycle, and obviously drivers do like to take a break. And obviously with iRacing, you've got a different focus there. So I'll turn my question around then. What's your focus and your long-term goals on iRacing?
Well, the ultimate goal is I want to win a endurance race, like either like a Nordschleife or a like Daytona already was this year, but in the future at least, I want to just win one like 24-hour or 12-hour race. That's the main goal.
Yeah, that'll be really good to see. Of course, I can't wait to see your progress. Hopefully you might do as well, if not better, as what you did in Daytona, of course, last week for your team. And you can go and enjoy your evening.
Thank you. And thanks for the comms.
You are very welcome indeed. And I think with third place not joining us here in the interviews, I think that concludes the interviews for tonight. Fantastic, of course, to have everyone alongside us in the commentary box for interviews throughout the season. And I have to pay, of course, a big tribute to my co-commentator, who is sadly going to be leaving the commentary box next season for Season 7 of TTML F1. But Luke, from, I think, behalf of everyone, I think, in F1, and indeed for everything that you've done in this league, I think, over the last 2 seasons, of course, since becoming a league director, thank you so much for your effort. Very much appreciated. And I'm sure everyone would like to wish you well here in TTML. And certainly you're going to be a voice to miss in the commentary box next season.
Yeah, no more Sunday night TTML comms, but you'll still be able to get me monthly on EML. I'm not fully going away, just having a bit of a break.
Having a bit of a break. I think we're all entitled for a bit of a break from now. And often, of course, speaking of breaks, we do have, in the next week, we'll be doing the placements for next season. So, obviously, placements are going to come, I think, between the 8th and the 11th. Bordering, of course, everyone agreeing to it, there is going to be a Season 7 placement show happening probably in the week of between the 11th and the 14th of February. So around a week before the season actually starts in Bahrain, we're going to be having that placement show. Of course, I'm going to be there. Certainly other members of special guests will be there as well. It is going to be done live and exclusive, of course, to League Racing TV. And as I say, upon everyone's agreement in the League Racing TV Discord, we should get that up and ready, and hopefully it'll be on our socials, of course, throughout the week as well. But that is it for TTML F1 this season, and indeed for TTML this season. On behalf of everyone, I'd like to thank you, Luke, all of the commentators. I think do a fantastic job week in and week out. To everyone who's raced with us this season, whether you've been banned from the league, whether you're a reserve driver, or whether you're a full-time driver and you've attended every single race, you really are the guys that make TTML tick over. And you really are the guys that we like to produce the racing for, and we like to produce the commentary for as well. Of course, Season 7, we will be going under changes. We do have, I think, 4 tiers next season. So, one less commentary for somebody that at least is going to be there. But it's been an absolutely brilliant season. Season 6 of TTML. I think it's my 6th season in total, of course, as well in TTML. And I'd like to thank everyone. And, of course, the GOAT himself, of course, Maze, in terms of his ultimate commitment. Of course, you might have seen the announcement today, stepping down as CEO of TTG Esports. On behalf of everyone here in TTML and indeed League Racing TV, we thank you for your efforts, and I'm sure Mr. Graphics Man, as he's going to be known as, is going to be still in the background, and of course he'll be conducting this behind the scenes with me, Luke and Tom, going forward as league directors for TTML in Season 7. I think that is the end of tonight's live stream. Luke, I'm going to leave it over to you. Final thoughts and overall driver of the day.
Singapore delivered pretty much what we expected. Genius choice by Rudy to go for that set of hard tyres. But I think just for being able to get the tyre wear out of that set of mediums and starting low on the grid, I'm going to go with the games driver of the day. I'm going to go with Zoidema.
No, I completely agree. I think Zoidema obviously delivered a fantastic performance tonight. Certainly one of the best performances I think I've seen season from him. Of course, wrapping, I think, third in the championship as well. Obviously, we can't see on the task system because it's missing a couple of races. But we think he's got third, of course, outscoring Fleddy and Lynx. 7th and 9th position they finished. Zoidema, I think, has wrapped up third, if I'm not mistaken. So well done to him on that. We're waffling on. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, I've been James Head.
I've been Luke Etheridge.
Thank you so much for watching, and until next season, goodbye.